Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Tendo Talks podcast. This week, I have a very special guest, Mr. TubbyTubb. How are you doing this week?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic, thanks. So we're going to learn a little bit about how you came to be a streamer. But what I always like to ask first is, what is your first video game memory?
Oh God. I want to say like GameCube, Animal Crossing. I would say Animal
Okay.
Crossing. Animal Crossing, yeah.
On the GameCube. So that would have been like, what, 2003? Something like that?
Oh
2000.
God.
Yeah.
Maybe,
It's around that
maybe.
time.
Oh. I was young. I was definitely young.
Yeah. Tom, yeah, Mr. Resetti ruining your life, right? And like, yeah. That's an interesting one. There's not many people who I hear say that. There's not many people who played it on the GameCube in comparison to like the DS, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Switch, a lot of people use the Switch more.
Oh, well now, yeah, for sure. So you were into Animal Crossing, and where did you go from there?
I want to say like, I started with GameCube and then we got a PC and I didn't start playing video games until like full, like hardcore video gaming until I was like 13 probably. And then like I would play Pokemon, like basic Pokemon games before that, and like the what is it, the little handheld devices, what do they call it?
Game Boys.
Game Boys, yeah, sorry.
That's all right.
I didn't start like video gaming until 13, and then I went to an MMO called Terra.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah,
such a good game, and then it kind of went downhill a little bit. And then I want to say like World of Warcraft, all that stuff, and then I went into Fortnite, and then League of Legends. Just like I just started branching out into different video games.
Yeah.
I love them.
What is it that you love so much about gaming and video games?
I just feel like it's an escape for reality. I feel like, just hanging out with people and like just having fun and just chilling. And if you're having a bad day, just get online with your friends and hang out. And,
That's interesting. That's interesting what you say as well about friends, because before I started streaming, I'd played games online. Obviously, when I was young, because I'm 34 now, when I was young, there was no online gaming. It was literally just with your tangible friends, around you.
Yeah.
And I knew that, like, as I got, when the Xbox Live became a thing, and I knew that I had friends who were making friends online. And it's not that I looked down at that, but I just always thought that wasn't for me. So do you feel like you made good and close friends through gaming and through the community?
Oh, 100%. Especially through Twitch. Like all my friends through Twitch, the best people I've ever met. Like literally this community, I think, is so close together that everyone knows everyone. And I think everyone's pretty much, I've only met a handful of few ungenuine people on Twitch, but majority of them, phenomenal.
Yeah, I'd agree. I sort of was very surprised that, because I didn't know much about streaming when I started. I was very surprised to find, so obviously you're going to find people with the same interests and you're picking them up from all over the world. So there's a lot more scope to find these people. But you tend to find that they generally are very nice, very open-minded, and they don't tend to care who you are, and they care more about what you say and what you stand for, rather than whether it's physical appearance, money, your job, anything like that. So yeah, it's been pretty special. So what made you decide you were gonna hit that go live button? How did it come to that?
So I started playing Fortnite, right?
Yeah.
And I had a group of friends and we'd watch a streamer, and the streamer's Kitty Plays. And then I was kind of inspired by her to start streaming. And then I also followed another streamer. Her name is Lux. And I've been following her since 2015.
Right.
And I just really loved her community. And I just thought it would be fun. So I I hit go live just to hang out with friends, and then it just became so much more. And I started falling in love with it, and just editing and getting content and building it. I think building a community, that's something that, it's just amazing. There's so many people that come and just like hang out and chill, and um they've also met friends through the community. That it's amazing to build a community. So I think that's why I love streaming. I love streaming.
Yeah, it's one it's one wild ride for sure. So did you start straight on Twitch, or did you make YouTube videos before, or?
Oh, Twitch, yeah. I started on Twitch. Yeah, I haven't done any other platforms.
No, yeah. I mean, it takes up enough time as it is. It's very difficult to do.
Yo, it's a very difficult. Yo.
Yeah, nobody has any idea until they try. Even if you're, well, I imagine I was never a viewer before I started creating. That's the weird thing. But like, the viewers. I think some of them know, but until you actually do it, I don't think you can realize what goes into it. Because you become everything like overnight. You have to be you have to be into marketing. You have to be a little bit into graphic design. Even if you've got people, because if you're just starting out, you're not going to spend loads of money on absolutely everything. You become an audio engineer. You become so many different things. But I mean, it's nice to put those strings to your bow. But what's been the most frustrating thing, do you think, about streaming, or what have you found? What is the negative side, or have you found any negative sides? Is there anything that stands 100%.
out? Personally, I think self-criticizing yourself. I feel like it's a very hard mental game, and sometimes you can doubt yourself a lot and see like, oh, can I really do this? Like, it's sometimes like it can be very, you can be hard on yourself and be like, oh, am I unfunny? Am I unentertaining?
Yeah.
Like, do people want to watch me? Like I feel like it can be hard. And then I feel like it can be mentally draining sometimes. But I think with that being said, it's definitely worth it. I love making people smile, and I love entertaining and having a good community. So I think it cancels it out.
Yeah, you will see, and I've seen quite recently as well, quite a few streamers who are taking breaks, for instance. And I can totally understand why. Especially if your head's not in the right space. It must be really difficult. Because I mean, I have suffered with that, but not while I've been streaming. But I can imagine that makes things become very difficult. I also see people who they're obviously disappointed because their favorite creator is not going to be live or whatever, and obviously they're really supportive usually, and then they don't understand why, from the outside they've got the best job in the world, and I still think it is that. Like I still think it is that, for me. But I don't think they realize the toll of streaming for hours and hours and hours with basically no break. Nobody takes more than a couple of minutes, here and there. You come off and your brain is fried. Like you just want to sit down, and you need to compose yourself, decompress. And I don't think there are many people that think that. But like you say, on the flip side, you get to meet some great people. You get to play games, and you kind of, in a way, you get paid to play games. So, it's certainly an interesting job and or hobby. So with regards to self-criticism, just to talk about that a little bit deeper, and like you say, you question whether you're funny or not, or I think that's probably one of the most got to be one of the most common things. But, but also the numbers thing, right? Because Twitch has this thing where, like, partner is numbers. Their stats are like how many chatters and all these sorts of things, which I personally feel like is not necessarily the right way to go to make best communities. Like I had to take a step back before I became partner. I realized that even though I was growing slowly, I was going the wrong way, and I changed things. Have you ever felt pressure, like for viewer numbers, or have you ever given yourself goals and then, thought maybe they're too easy or not realistic, or do you
I feel
watch
like
do you watch the amount of views that you've got?
I feel like every streamer goes through that at least once in their life. And I'm really close to partner, and I feel
Hmm.
like people being like, oh, hashtag Tubby for partner. I feel like that puts a little pressure on
Yeah,
me. Um,
yeah.
and then when you're not hitting that, it can just like crush you a little bit.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, so, but what I've learned is that numbers don't define you. It doesn't. It
Mm.
doesn't mean how great of a streamer you are. You can be the best streamer and you can have 2 viewers.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't define you at all.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
I'd be inclined to agree with that. And yeah, you'll feel the pressure a little bit when you get close. It's not like I don't. I mean, I was fortunate in that only had to apply twice. I saw, and I'm sure this won't happen to you, of course, but I saw a guy who applied like 10 times or something like that.
oh, I've had friends. One of my friends applied 13 times,
Jeez.
and she's a phenomenal streamer. She's so
Yeah,
good.
and it seems like, I mean, when I got rejected the first time, I was okay with that because I think 99% of people do the first time. Like it just seems like,
Yeah,
I think the only people who don't are either those ones who've already got big communities on other platforms and or are already celebrities, or then they might get it first time, but pretty much everyone else gets knocked back the first time. So I was okay with that, and then the second time, I don't know how I'd have handled that, to be honest. If I didn't get it, the numbers were fine, so I wasn't worried about the numbers, but they don't give you much feedback, which doesn't help.
yeah. I wish they would. Like I wish they would, so you can like maybe like correct yourself.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I don't know about the volume of applications they get. I mean, I imagine it's a lot, but then it's a big company as
yeah,
well, and they belong to Amazon, so you kind of think, well,
yeah,
you could probably be
yeah.
on top of that. But yeah, it's very frustrating when I applied. I think they just put a new they just made a new email about, which you see all over Twitter now when people get rejected. It's the same one. We just want to watch. You're on the right track. We just want to watch you. And it's just like, I hadn't seen that letter before, so I was quite excited because it said, oh, we just want to watch you for a bit longer. And everyone else was like, oh, we haven't seen that before, but now it just turns out it's just like the template letter that everyone gets. You just
Yeah.
changed your name. And that is frustrating. I don't remember that time fondly because you are literally watching your numbers and thinking, and it's,
Am I doing something wrong?
yeah, it's like,
You know?
yeah, it's horrible because you just think,
Yep.
oh, I can't, and you don't want to diversify in what you're playing because you're worried about, because obviously the game that it's like you say, you main Fortnite.
Yep.
You main Fortnite, right? So I was maining Super Mario Maker 2. I didn't play, like around that time, I didn't play any other game. I think I played Mario Kart a couple of times, but I didn't play any other game because I didn't want to drop numbers. And it took its toll on me because, you get tired, you want to change every now and then. Yeah, I don't remember that time fondly, but obviously it's more than worthwhile. But do you feel like you'll be a lot more relaxed once you get it? Do you feel like once you get it, like you've hit that milestone and you
Oh
can
God.
start to diversify? I mean, you have to forgive me, because I've only just met you, so I haven't taken the
Yeah.
time to look through all your content, and I don't know how diverse you are, but I know I wasn't.
Oh God. I don't know. I mean, like I've been like trying to slowly branch out into other games, like Valorant. I've been playing a little bit.
Yes.
I try to do just chatting before stream.
Yeah.
A little bit, but I do love story games, but there's only so many of those on like Steam and stuff.
Yeah.
I never really thought about like if I would be more relaxed after
Mm.
it. To be honest, I've never thought that. Were you more relaxed?
I think so, but like you say, I think it's good if you've not thought about it too much, because you're thinking about, the goal is just getting partner first, right? And
Yeah,
then,
but it doesn't. It's still like always. It never stops. Like it
oh
never.
no,
You always have to be
yeah,
working.
yeah, 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 yeah. You always have to keep trying to change little things up. Doesn't need to be big things, but
Yeah.
yeah, I felt more relaxed with regards to playing other games for sure. And it showed me that actually, yes, I can play other games, and sometimes they won't get as many views. But I mean, that's fine, because there's games I like to watch. That I
Yeah.
like. I still like Doctor Disrespect. One of the big. I obviously don't interact because he's too big, but I like watching him play Warzone. Do I like watching him play Valorant? Not particularly.
No. Yeah.
So like I understand that from that position, but I think yeah, then you get to see, who's there for you too. I think the other people are there for me as well. It's just they like that game.
Yeah.
But you start to see the community who are there whatever you play, which is really amazing. It's really
You'll
amazing.
build like a core community, and you'll have the people who just watch you for like a certain
Yeah,
game.
yeah. And that amazes me, the fact that I've played Warzone after being a Mario Maker main and have people in, and I'm like, I didn't expect anybody, or hardly anybody, because it's like, this is Warzone. This is not Super Mario Maker 2. It's completely different. But yeah, are you? What do you think? So you've mainly playing Fortnite, right? Which is obviously it's been around for quite a long time, and to be honest, it doesn't show any. To be honest, it doesn't show any signs of slowing down at the minute either. It's still huge, still absolutely huge. What do you think? What do you think will happen when that slows down? Are you hoping to be in a position where you've branched out a bit already and you'll be playing other games by that point, or is it again just something you cross that bridge when you come to it?
I don't know. I feel like I would be ready to like switch another game. I still like try sometimes to like play other games.
Yeah.
So, and I play multiple games off stream. Like you don't want to be streaming.
Oh no.
Like if you stream a certain game, you don't want to be playing that off stream. You'll burn yourself out.
No, I never did 100%. That. Yeah.
So I play a few games off, like Sea of Thieves. I've been playing Sea of Thieves the past week. So relaxing. Love that. I don't know if I would stream it. Because I feel like for streamers, I don't know. I feel like for me as a viewer, I like games that are either more competitive or like just fast.
Yeah.
Like, I would want to. I don't know. Like, I feel like battle royales are really
yeah,
like
for sure,
super fast paced. So like MOBAs like League of Legends.
Yeah.
I love League of Legends. I play that off stream. I think games like those are easier for me to watch.
Yeah.
As a streamer, or like comfort streamers. Like I feel like if I'm sad and I want to go watch a streamer at 3 a.m. if I'm crying in my feelings, I think those type of streamers are more like relaxing. So it just depends.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I always think, because I've always liked playing RPGs, but I've never played one on stream, because I just feel like I like playing the RPGs, but they are more of a comfort game, a more chill game, and something that I just curl up with, and chill with, rather than I want to be concentrating and reading everything and not having to sort of relay that to all the chat. But obviously there are people that do it. But I feel like, yes, people would rather watch the competitiveness, or they'd rather watch something fast paced, or they'd rather watch something that has ups and downs, highs and lows. Like, I guess that's why speedrunning games is very popular, because you can fail in it. You can make one tiny mistake and you fail hours of work, or you can have the elation of setting a personal best or even a world record, right? So it's very interesting what people choose to stream, and how viewer interaction works with that, because obviously I see people who have got huge from playing doing speedruns with very little or no interaction with the chat, you know, from the ground up, which is bizarre to me because I'm always reading chat.
I don't understand how people can't read their
I
chat.
know.
I'm like, how I love reading my chat. I love talking to my viewers. So like, I think, people who don't, I'm like, how?
Yeah,
There's people who completely ignore their chat, and I'm like, dude, like even some of the big streamers, they'll be reading their chat like
oh yeah,
easily.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if they have like 4,000 viewers, they'll be reading their
yeah, yeah,
chat, and
yeah.
I'm like,
I see.
those are like the good streamers. Like those.
Yes.
I mean, you can play a game. I feel like some people watch streamers just because they're so good at a game that they don't need that chat
Yeah,
interaction.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I think personally for me, I like streamers who are interactive.
Yeah, I think, and this is the thing as well, is if you're going to start out and say, well, I'm going to let the gameplay talk, like for anybody who's thinking about it, I guess, you're going to have to be one of the best because,
yeah.
And if you want to be one of the best, you know, good luck to you because there are people playing it 18 hours a day and they don't stop. They do not stop. So if you want to be the best at one of these games on Twitch, good luck to you because it's very unlikely that it's going to happen. There'll be somebody that plays it more, and there'll be somebody with more ability than you, whether you like it or not. And that's, you know, people don't come to watch me because I'm the best Mario player. You know, so, but you know, I did okay. But yeah, if you know, it's like for instance, Dr. Disrespect. I've watched Dr. Disrespect play Warzone. He's nowhere near one of the top players. He plays with one of the top players a lot called Z Laner, who's very good. Doc's nowhere near his level, honestly, but Doc just entertains me. He's not as much interactive, but even he with 30,000, he's on YouTube now. We don't know why he got banned from Twitch, but he's on.
We want to know.
We want to know. We want to know. But I think I've seen that he's bringing out a book called his memoirs or something like that. But you know, I don't know whether this is a character thing or it's part of the theatrical side of it, or whether it's a genuine, you know, this is my book. And that would make sense as to why he's sort of saved that information. Because then it could be like, well, it's in the book. Why don't you go and buy the book? But with 30,000 viewers, he will still pick out comments, and not always with donations either. He will still pick out, you know, obviously his chat is like, it's like
yeah, you can't read that if you're like a giant streamer.
No,
like,
no, but he still picks out. He can't read them all, but he still picks out, you know, every now and again. And it's like, hey, that's pretty cool that you're still doing that, because he doesn't have to, you know, he doesn't have to stream anymore. You know, the guy's a multi-millionaire. He doesn't have to stream, but like, yeah, I do love the chat side and interaction. What would you say the split's like between the people who like to lurk and watch and people who are active in chat in your channel? Do you think that you could put sort of like a percentage figure on it, like 60-40 or?
Okay. Like how many lurkers are in my chat?
Yeah, like how in a stream, in an average stream, like how many lurkers compared to?
I don't know. I feel like my chat's more like more talkative
than more people who are in the chat than lurk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. There's definitely lurker. Like there's always.
Oh
lurkers.
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah.
You never know who's gonna be watching your stream.
Yeah. Haters.
But I think most of my chat is more talkative than like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say I don't know, I'd say it's probably 50-50 a lot of the time. But yeah, there's always people lurking, and haters lurk as well for some reason. Whatever.
I don't get that many haters.
Do you know?
I'm gonna be honest. I don't I'll get like the homophobic people. There's always the homophobic people that will like come in my chat, say something. I just laugh it off because it doesn't affect me anymore. Maybe
they're just like trolls. They're just trolls, aren't they?
Yeah, I've just grown thick skin. I don't really care if someone's gonna come into my chat and like hate on me for no, like you don't know me. If you're just like a random troll, like I don't care about your opinion if you don't know me. You know, you don't know my story. You don't know what I've been through.
It's pretty. It's still like the troll thing. You know, it from any sort of perspective blows my mind. Like it blows my mind. There's an infamous troll in the Mario Maker community called Man of Steel, and he just tries to come in and say the most disgusting thing he can, and he's just banned instantly. Nobody even bats an eyelid. The viewers don't even say anything because they know who he is and they know what he's looking for. I mean, he doesn't come in my much now because he gets very little reaction. and that's what they want, I suppose. But it always blows my mind as well that somebody would, you know, if that troll is genuinely homophobic, it blows my mind that what's wrong in their life that they're bothered by what somebody else, is doing or who they are, you know.
Because if you're like happy with yourself, you're not gonna go into someone's stream like hate, or just like in general. Like, if you're happy, you're not gonna go and like tear someone down like that, you know?
No, because why would you? You know, you're living your life. You are who you are, and why would that bother that person who's got nothing to do with you or your life, and you won't affect them in any way whatsoever? It does make you think about, you know, and then sometimes I feel like I almost pity them because I'm like, what's happened to them, you know, to make them be this way? Or are they just one of those sick people who just gets a kick out of attempting to troll people?
It scares me though, because I feel like, you know, for me, I can handle it, right? Like, I don't care about someone's opinion, but someone that can't handle it, and if someone says something wrong to someone else, you know, I don't want, like, it's scary that it could affect them so negatively that like harm could be done, you know?
We probably see that, like, with regards to trolls, we probably see that most famously like with celebrities in the media, right? Like for all manner of different things, you know. I feel like celebrities are always scrutinized, particularly the women. The female celebrities are incredibly 100%. Scrutinized, and you know, some of the magazines which are, or the, you know, the websites which are aimed at women as well, tearing these women to pieces sometimes a lot of the time for their appearance. It's and you know, I always, since I've been doing sort of podcasting, or the old podcast I used to do, I always used to look at this stuff just for, and I thought, you know, I thought things would have changed a lot. I think they have to an extent, but they're still really bad. You know, they've still got like those red circles of shame, you know, where they say, oh, such and such was wearing a bikini and look at these stretch marks like on their thigh. And it's like, isn't that just being a human being?
Yeah. Like I have stretch marks. Like, why is it so bad that you're pointing that out? Like, normal bodies, like everyone has different bodies. We all have stretch marks. Most of us have acne. You know, like, why are they? I don't understand why the media constantly does stuff like that, and we feed into it.
Yeah, definitely.
Human beings feed into stuff like that.
Well, they wouldn't,
and it's sad.
Yeah, these magazines wouldn't exist without people buying them, right? The websites wouldn't exist without people clicking on them because they wouldn't get any ad revenue. You know, it's but it's kind of weird that in a time there are a lot of people saying, you know, this kind of shit's got to stop because it's really bad, you know, for everybody, particularly now young men and women as well, you know, who are, you know, suffering at seeing these constant perfect images that are not real. Like
100%,
these models
100%.
who don't exist actually, because that's by the time it's the picture's been through production, it's almost a different person.
Like when you scroll through, like, let's say Instagram or multiple social medias, people are showing their best self.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see what's off that picture. You don't see what's off camera. Like guys who have six packs, like I can go through Instagram, my whole feed is just guys with six packs.
Yeah.
That's not like a realistic thing like every day.
No.
I mean, you'll see guys with six packs, but like perfectly six pack aligned bodies, like that's, and it makes you kind of like feel shitty about yourself.
Yeah.
You see that, and because like society has such a high standard for like perfect bodies.
Yeah, I've actually seen some interesting accounts recently, only from women at the moment, where they will show themselves posing in two different ways and showing you how much different they can look just from manipulating their body in a certain way to make themselves look better. And it's like,
angles. Like anyone can use it. I could like hold my phone down here, you'll see a double chin. If I pull it up like here, you won't.
Yeah. You know? Yeah, it's it is crazy. And I'm kind of glad, like like these things were always around, like in magazines and stuff like that. But you know, when I was a kid, like I remember the internet coming out, and at first it was used to just look up stuff. It was used to help with school. That was it.
Yeah.
Or chat rooms. But you were seen as very sort of weird and outcast if you were using chat rooms back then. And there was no social media, and it was like, you know, there was no unrealistic expectations. You know, we had trends and stuff like that, but these trends wouldn't become a worldwide thing overnight, you know, like they do now. And there was not the pressure. I mean, there's always been some social pressure, but not like now. And I do feel for the kids now who are going to school with all these unrealistic expectations, but you know, most people are more conscious than ever when they're at school.
I think that everyone's beautiful. Like, I think every single body type is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And like, even people with six packs, obviously they're beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we put it on a pedestal.
Yeah.
That we kind of like, we're like, oh, if we don't have that body, it's not beautiful. But in reality, we're all beautiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Of course.
Like, I used to be 430 pounds, you know.
430 pounds?
I was a big guy. I was a giant guy.
Jeez.
And I mean, like, the way I was looked at,
yeah,
you know, I was visible. Like, people looked at me so differently than they do now.
Yeah, I bet.
I don't know. It's just like, we should just be accepting of everyone.
Yeah,
like, we shouldn't define for anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, wow. How did you go about shedding that weight?
I would say mostly diet. Probably diet.
Yeah. That's
a little bit of working out.
Yeah, that's interesting because like, I guess if you're 430 pounds, that's you know, that's the kind of size where people will stop, right? And that's where people will say stuff without hesitation, without even thinking.
Oh, 100%.
It's like, oh, I just saw someone and they are 30 pounds overweight, you know, because nobody would even think about it. Nobody would even think about it. But how did you do you think that's attributed to you having thick skin now? Like, are you just sort of, you're just
100%.
Are you just sort of, you know, did that upset you?
Oh, 100%. It fucked with my confidence.
Yeah.
So much. I mean, I've been overweight my whole life, but like, especially now, like, that fucked with my confidence so bad. Sorry, is this?
No, go for it. No, it's fine. No, it's not a family friendly thing. No.
Okay, good. Okay. I was like, my bad. I didn't know. I would say though that definitely streaming has helped me become more confident. Like, meeting people online.
Yeah. I feel like of course you get certain streams which are about looks and stuff. A fair play to those men and women. Like, do what you want. If you got it, flaunt it, make money. I don't care. But on the whole, people aren't in streams for appearance. On the whole, you know, people will you know, people will come to your stream because they just like who you are. Yeah.
I think though that like it's important that like we, you know, like I think we should all celebrate everyone's body. Like, why? I think it's important to do that. You know.
Yeah.
If you got stretch marks, show them.
Yeah.
If you got a six pack, show it. You know, like I think we need to normalize everything.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? Definitely. I mean, I guess playing devil's advocate, the only thing that would be a worry is, you know, people who are severely underweight or people who are severely overweight because of health concerns, right? And there's a big thing about that here because obviously our health service is free. So then people get really irate if somebody has a gastric band or something like that that's inevitably going to save their life and probably actually save money for the health service in the long run. But people don't think like that. I guess, you know, there's probably an argument about that. But with regards to, you know, different everyone is so different. But for some reason, we have this idea. And the thing is, you know what? I looked through my Instagram, and obviously, just a straight guy looking through Instagram. I'm attracted to women. I like beautiful women. But to me, some of the women, if they've had whatever work done, up to them. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. For me, it's not my thing. Like what the magazines push is the most stereotypically attractive woman. Like it's not mine. And I don't know whether that means that I'm more discerning or whether it means that I just have different tastes. And I think to some extent it's even probably like quite a lot of like certainly with the men and women's fashion and how body fashion, a lot of men actually aren't necessarily looking for that. Yeah, they might give it the locker room bravado and might be I like it. But I think deep down, like if more men were honest, they're not actually looking for a specific body type. They might have things that they like we all do, but it's really interesting that what we see on social media is pushing a very similar body type.
I also think though, like if you want to get plastic surgery to make yourself feel better, like I think if it makes you feel more confident,
yeah, definitely.
Like sometimes I want a nose job,
Yeah.
But like maybe like you won't see something wrong with my nose, but if it helps me be more confident,
right, yeah, and I agree. I've seen women in the past who were conscious about their breast size. They had implants. They were so much more confident, and absolutely. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And like I say, anyone who wants to have work, you have work because it's your body at the end of the day. I just find it interesting that it's like this certain shape that's being pushed, and it's men and women. It's primarily women, but it's becoming more apparent, that young men are suffering from seeing this kind of stuff all the time. Luckily, more men are beginning to talk about this sort of stuff, and with regards to loads of stuff like I feel like bulimia
society,
and anorexia,
society though for like guys especially, I think you're supposed to be like this big, strong, buff guy, can't talk about his feelings, and I feel like a lot of men suppress that.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
I definitely am like I was affected by like seeing guys with six packs, because I don't have one, and it like I think you get frowned upon, especially since I was so overweight that you do get frowned upon for not having a six pack.
Yeah,
and I think or like big muscles. So I think,
it's strange. I mean, I only had a six pack from being skinny, because I was a skinny kid.
Sure.
Which I wouldn't say bullied, but I was very skinny until I was like 18. I wanted to put weight on. Like you don't hear people say it much, but it's like I wanted to and I couldn't. I could not. Like I was just one of those people. And people used to give me shit for it sometimes. And it's kind of strange as well because it's like it's one of those things where it's okay to say to an extent because I wasn't like it wasn't like people would stop in the street or anything like that, but it's like you saying, oh, you're just skinny.
No, I think it goes both ways. Like I think people I don't know, I feel like everyone's body's different. We all I might have the slowest metabolism. Someone can have the fastest.
Absolutely.
Everyone has different genes. We all have different stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we should just normalize everything.
I
think everything is beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. I think I guess I don't know what the future holds. I feel like things go in the right way with regards to that. Definitely going in a better way than they were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because I guess as well, really, people have been only really been getting stuck into social media in the last 15 years. So we've still got a lot to learn with it, and we've already started to learn what the problems are. But I can't imagine what that would be now. If you were a kid who was bullied at school, and now you get cyberbullying, and they can't get away even when they're at home, and that's been linked to many suicides and stuff like that. I wonder if there comes a time where social media is just not fashionable anymore. It was yesterday's news and people stopped to use it, or whether we just, I mean, I can't see it. I can only see it growing in a different, maybe it becomes something slightly different, but this constant communication is weird, right?
I feel like, honestly, I don't think social media will ever, we're such social creatures.
Yes.
That we need social media. Like, we're never gonna give that up unless there's like a power outage or some shit like that,
Yeah.
Like, we'll always have social media. Like that.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the LGBTQIA plus community, just in general, and also on Twitter through streaming. So how have you found the LGBTQIA community within streaming? Obviously, you are openly gay, and I assume you use the tag, the LBGT.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I am very loud about it, especially on Twitch and Twitter and everything.
Yeah.
Because when I was growing up, I struggled with my sexuality, and I struggled. I got put into like a severe depression about it. And I didn't have any like role models or like anyone that I knew who was gay. So I am so open about it because I want people to know that it's okay to be a certain sexuality. Like, just love who you want to love, be who you want to be. It's okay. Like, you're perfect the way you are.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people don't have that. And I feel I want my community to for me as a streamer, I want people to know that it's okay. And there's some people who've come to my chat and been like, hey, I'm struggling with this, or like, how do I tell my family, or stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's important to do that. And I think I found a lot of LGBT people who are through the tag, especially. It's safe haven.
I really like that the first thing you say there is you're talking about your potential to tell your story and help people, right? Because there are a lot of people who will and a lot of them not from the LGBTQIA plus community, who will talk about any kind of rights, whether it's trans, and there's nothing wrong with that or supporting, of course.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes it's driven by people who actually are very uneducated about these sorts of things. And do you have any experience of that? Have you ever seen anybody or come across anybody and you thought, or that actually they do it for clout, or they do it to seem to be part of a trend? Because it can be very difficult, because of course putting it out there, an awareness that these people exist and actually they're just people is important, right?
Yeah.
So it can get a bit blurred, I guess, and it would be very dangerous to start questioning anybody that you suspected was doing it for clout or for virtue or for whatever reason. There will be a very small minority of people, like there is in absolutely every walk of life, who will say they're trans as a fashionable thing. But I have to say, it's only going to be a very, very, very small amount of people. Just like there's a very small amount of people who pretend to be anything that they can. Have you come across anything like that?
I personally have never come across something like that. I mean, I've seen YouTubers who have been like queer baiting, like they'll pretend to like flirt and stuff, and they're like completely, you know.
Yeah.
But never like me firsthand. I've never experienced that.
So quickly though, when you say queer, educate me on that, because growing up in the UK, queer was it was like a slur, actually. When I was growing up, I'm not saying it is now, but what is queer now?
I think it's just I'm not 100% sure on the term.
Yeah.
I think it means personally like I'm not like super
Yeah.
like I'm gay and I'm part of the LGBT community, you know.
Yeah.
For I think queer though is like basically just being gay. I don't.
That's what I thought.
know,
Obviously, it's in the
like
it's in the LGBTQIA. Like the Q is for queer, right? So
okay, like because I wanna know the exact
yeah. Get it up.
It's a term for sexual and gender sorry.
It's all right.
It's a term for sexual and gender minorities who are not heterosexual or are not cisgender.
Right. Okay. So so anyone who's part of the community. Yeah. It's funny because like as a growing up, that was like a derogatory term. Not that it matters to me, but like yeah, it was a bit of a derogatory term, mainly aimed at gay men. So I was interested when I saw it because I thought that's straight.
I just wanted to like, because I personally have never like Googled the term, and I wanted to get the exact definition.
So we're both learning something. But yeah, it was what we thought. So yeah, I see. I see this like a lot of the the trans life matter stuff, which again is cool. I saw something very interesting. I read all about, and I've spoken about the J.K. Rowling thing, which was far more complicated than I at first looks and first discussed, because you have to delve really deep to see. I mean, it's easy to look at it from afar and say, well, that sort of suggests that she hates trans people or whatever, is transphobic. But there was so much more to it. But so an example of somebody I saw was we have a program here called Good Morning Britain. It's terrible. And there's a guy who is he's come over to the States called Piers Morgan, right? And the guy's pretty insufferable as far as I'm concerned. But occasionally he makes a valid point. And I think that's something that's lost on a lot of people as well. They will say, I hate that person, so they can't possibly say anything right. Occasionally he has a good point. I don't like the guy on the whole. There was a guy who came on his show to talk about a new book that J.K. Rowling had written as a ghostwriter. And he was saying that in this book, and this is an extreme example, of course, he was saying that in this book, he was saying there was a trans woman in this book who was a murderer. And because they were in the book, then it painted trans people as murderers. And I thought that was pretty preposterous. It turns out the guy hadn't even read the book, and all this character did in the book was actually just dress up as a woman to disguise himself at some point. But this guy had gone on national TV without reading the book, and he was very angry, like very, very angry. And he wasn't gay or part of the LGBTQIA community. And I feel like there are some people who push perhaps so hard and they forget about. So, for instance, he looks silly because it wasn't really the point he was making. And I feel like that could end up doing a lot more damage, to the trans community than anything sort of positive, How do you think that's possible? Do you think that there are ways of discussing these sorts of things and perhaps educating people that perhaps aren't followed by a lot of people who would rather shout it and tell people that they're just wrong?
personally, I think that, like, let's say I can't really speak
Of course.
for the trans community,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
Like if you're a straight male, you can't really speak for me,
No,
you
of course
know?
not.
Um, I think there's allies, and I think you can help like prevent, like if someone's being homophobic, stand up for someone
Yeah,
who's
yeah,
gay. You
yeah,
know, if
yeah,
someone's transphobic, stand up for
yeah, 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 yeah.
trans community. You know,
Mm.
so I can't really like. I think that
But I mean, so the same thing for the gay community. Then you know, people who will you stand up for the gay community, but actually, it's not that they. I don't think it's that they're trying to do any harm, but I think maybe the way in which they try and tell people, you know, rather than you know, and their tone perhaps and their approach,
yeah,
the sort of like it's the same in everything. You get radical people in everything, right?
yeah,
I feel like they do a lot more damage, and I feel the ones that are the loudest tend to get, especially on Twitter, get pushed to the forefront. And then I feel like it snowballs because people start to think, well, wait, no, I'm on the side of the LGBT community. I don't want to be seen as not. So I'm gonna like this post, and I feel like then it becomes, well, hang on a minute. There's one person who's speaking on behalf of a community, and that doesn't necessarily make it 100% correct either, unless you've been.
no, because I feel like everyone in the community definitely has like an opinions. You know, just like every other human, like we all have different opinions and everything.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So that's why.
So
yeah, carry on. Sorry.
So like one part of the LGBT community could have like a whole different opinion than like another part, you know? So I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think that when I was growing up, and obviously I use my friend again as the example because I know quite a few gay people. Obviously, I got quite a few gay friends, but you know I've known him for so long, and we get on so well. We've talked about so much stuff to do with it because I'm interested, I guess, because I want to know to the best of my knowledge what it's like. You know, I'll never know, but I can try and learn. And he's actually obviously, like the majority of gay men, completely open-minded to pretty much anything, you know.
Yeah.
He is not sure where he stands, and obviously this is only anecdotal, but he is not sure where he stands in the trans debate. It's obviously, like you say, you can't speak for a trans person. But then at the same time, he's always been in a, like it was when we were growing up, just LGBT. He's always been in the same community, and he finds it strange because it's so different. He doesn't mind standing up for trans rights or anything like that. And obviously, when we've been out on Pride, nobody cares. Like, nobody cares, and we've had a great time. But he finds it very strange that he is put in the same category, not the same category, but it's like everybody is under this umbrella, and he's like, but I'm just me, you know. He struggles with that sometimes, actually. So I wondered if you'd ever felt like in a similar way. Like, I'm not saying at all he's obviously got transgender friends, but you know, and he's got friends who are straight who like dressing up as women, you know, and they'll go and perform at the pubs in Soho in London. And he loves them, but he's like, he doesn't understand how it's a similar thing.
I don't know. I feel like, you know, I just can't like I can't speak for them because I'm not that, you know.
Yeah.
So like definitely if someone's being transphobic, I'm
of
stepping
course,
away and defending.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But it's not my place. So like I can't speak for like, let's say like a lesbian. Like I can't speak for that, you know, because that's not me.
Yeah.
Obviously there to defend anyone, you know.
Yeah.
Like if someone like there immediately. But it's also not my position.
Yeah. And I guess he kind of feels the same, but I think it's just that it's everybody's lumbered together. I think a personal opinion of mine is it's now what LGBTQIA plus, right?
Mhm.
I've seen S plus actually as well. QIA S plus.
Mhm.
Also, so I don't know. Um, each person is who they are, you know. However
Yeah,
they are
I think
is fine. My own personal point of view is that I worry because I really do not mind who anyone is. Like, I don't know why it would bother anyone else. And I
yeah,
I see some terrible things on the internet from bigots, and I don't want to be in that world. I want to be in a better world. And I just get worried sometimes that maybe if we keep adding letters, right? LGBTQIA plus, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I worry that people will see that and go, oh, it's another letter. We're watering this down. And then it becomes something where it's difficult to people relate to because it's such a big thing. But I don't know how do you feel about that? Do you think that that could ever be a problem?
I think that sexuality is a spectrum. Like, I think there's so many different things,
Mm,
and I think people, love who you love.
mm,
Like, you don't have to even put a label on it. Like,
mm.
you can just love who you love and like who you like.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
I don't know. I don't know. Well, if it stuff like that keeps happening, and it does. I don't. Well, cross that road.
Yeah, yeah, I
And
guess
it
so.
doesn't. It doesn't have to like. You're always gonna have people who are gonna hate and like
Oh
who
yeah, yeah,
are
of
like
course.
it's
Yeah.
there's people who were like raised homophobic,
Yeah, yeah,
um,
absolutely. Yeah.
stuff like that. So um, we'll cross that road when that happens.
Yeah, definitely. It's when I used to do the old podcast with Nick from North Carolina, so she was by and we talked about sexuality a bit, and that's exactly what we said at the time. It's definitely on a spectrum. You know, there are people who, are straight, but maybe 80% of the time. And then occasionally, they fancy or they're attracted to the same sex, but they still consider themselves straight, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's on a spectrum. There's no way anybody could ever be 100% either. It's just like, it's mind blowing to think that anybody could think that. But like I say, it's something we have to cross when we come to it. I watch both sides of the fence, and I see some of the bigots, and the things that they anger them are just ridiculous sometimes. And then, I worry that if letters keep getting added, that it could just water it down. Now, not for me personally. I don't care, because you can be whoever you want to be.
Yeah.
But it does. I guess there's just some concern there that we add too many letters. I don't agree with it, because there are very many, very hard right-wing people who say, oh, it's being pushed in my face. Well, it's not being pushed in your face. It's just reality. It's just,
The thing that like annoys me is that I have obviously straight parents.
yeah,
And you see movies like it's just straight people pushing your face.
yes. Yeah, of
It's
course it
like
is.
I grew up that the whole time, so it's like I never really saw gay
No,
people
no, well, it
in
was,
like movies and
no,
stuff when I
no,
was
no, no,
younger.
no.
It's like, why do you care? Like, why do you care? Like, I just don't understand why people care. Like, I'm
No,
not gonna care about someone's sexuality. Like, I
yeah.
genuinely don't care about someone else's sexuality. That's for them.
Mm,
It's not my place
yeah.
to care about your sexuality. Love who you want to love. Um, so I don't
I
know.
feel that's like a really positive thing that has changed though. Like, it's still not, of course it's not,
Oh, 100%. It's definitely
it's
changed so much.
it's
And
and it is, it doesn't have to be, everybody's gay, because obviously that's not realistic either. But like,
yeah,
to never
no,
have, I can remember when I must have been like 99 or 2000, like that. In the UK, we got like a few main soaps, 4 or 5 main TV soap operas. And, there was a big news about the first gay kiss, and it was a huge deal. It was like it was almost like front page news. Like and now, 20 odd years on, nobody bats an eyelid. A gay couple in a soap here, nobody bats an eyelid. Which is massive progress. Massive progress. It's a real interesting thing as well, what you say about you didn't grow up seeing it in films, because I remember and it's such a cliche film, Brokeback Mountain coming out.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen it? Well,
never seen it.
It is a great film. But I think I was like, how old was I? I must have been about 19 when that film came out, something like that. And I worked behind I was at uni and I worked behind a bar in a local pub, so local bar, where there was quite a lot of narrow-minded people, small place in the English country. No, you wouldn't say they were bad. They weren't bad people. They were just very uneducated. They weren't. Their intentions were good. What they said was not good, and actually, most of those people have changed a lot, with society. But I just remember one of the guys saying to me, "Oh, I went and watched that Brokeback Mountain with my girlfriend," and some of the other guys, giving him a bit of stick for, watching a gay film, and he just turned around and said, "You know what? It's really good. It's a really good film, and it really made me think." And then they just instantly silenced these guys. And I think now, if somebody said it, in that bar or whatever, nobody would even, in my locality, in my experience, and of course this is only anecdotal, I don't speak for what it's like in England, but seeing that progress has been really important to me, because I care so much, for my friend. So I can't imagine how that looks for the gay community. It must be great. It's still a lot to do, obviously, but because now it seems like, people become more tolerant to gay people. Great. And now it feels like we're trying to push through the trans thing. Like this is become an issue for people. Do you think it'll be a similar sort of do you think it'll be a similar sort of transition into people being more accepting of trans people?
I feel like we've come so far as a community, 100%.
You think 100%. It'll be the same?
Yeah.
In terms of yeah. I guess
I think I just don't understand why human beings have such a hard time of accepting each other.
No.
I think we're all so like, I just don't understand why we fight. Like, I don't.
No.
It's so weird to me.
Well, human beings through history have fought for people being different, which is...
That's so weird to me.
It is weird.
It's so strange to me.
It is weird that ever happened. Very, very strange. Very, very strange. And that happened, that happened so naturally. And it almost feels embarrassing to be like, a human in that respect, because we're like the most destructive and horrendous warmongering people on the planet, species on the planet, like terrible.
Yeah.
And but the thing about the trans thing is where I think the difficulties will come is like it's easy to explain to most people. This is a man who loves another man, right? Or this is a man who loves men and women, or women. Trying to explain to uneducated people that this person was not assigned the correct gender when they were born.
Yeah.
That is, and it is more. Of course, it's more difficult to explain. It's more complicated, and that's why I think it could be more difficult. The transition could be more difficult. I think it will happen. I do think it will happen, and obviously, our generation is more accepting than our parents' generation.
Oh, 100%.
And they're more accepting than the generation before them.
Yeah.
because it's funny when people say, oh, like, you know, like I say, there'll be a very small minority of people who pretend to be whatever, and that will always happen in anything. But, you know, these people always existed. It's just that they couldn't be themselves, right? And this, and it's a horrible thought when you think, because I think to myself, you know, if I'd been trans, if I'd grown up thinking something's not right, you know, I don't feel right. And every day I felt like I didn't feel right, you know, because I try and put myself in the mind as best I can. I can never do that, but you try, you think that's a struggle, right? That's a real struggle. And then another struggle just to get people to say, look, I just want to be me. And that's it. And people say no, like that's not right. That's another struggle again. And the suicide rate in the trans community is scary. It's so scary. It's really, really horrible. I mean, we know some of that has to be through social impact and not being accepted, just like different people are not accepted for many different things. Do you think that the sort of that sort of impact on your mental health of thinking that, you know, regularly, because that's in your mind, you are who you are, you know who you are. Do you think that that's the biggest impact and reason why there's so many suicides in the trans community? Or do you think it is more social pressure and people not being so accepting?
For me, right?
Yeah, of course. You can only talk on your opinion. This is just your opinion, of course.
So I used to be very suicidal because I was gay.
Right,
and
exactly.
I feel like not being accepted or like being scared of who you are, it can be so mentally draining.
Yes.
Especially like I didn't know how my family would react. Luckily, my family's like super open and accepting and loving of me. You know, not everyone has that.
No, they don't.
And I didn't know at the time. I was like 15. And it just would like chip away at your mental health and like break you. And I feel like not feeling wanted or accepting, or you see all these people getting hated, and
of course,
you know, I think that breaks you and makes you not want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that not being, I feel like it's scary and not being socially accepted. I think
that. Do you think that can push people? And like I say, I can't speak on behalf of trans, but obviously trans people. But the toll of that, and then you know, they have the issue where they've been assigned the wrong. I mean, I get mixed up sometimes. I try and say the right thing.
Not feeling comfortable in your own body too.
Oh yeah, and everyone knows how that feels.
Everyone,
I guess so. That's where you try, and everybody's got something about themselves that they don't like. You know, whether they're, and in fact, if they're like some kind of supermodel, they're probably more likely to have things about themselves that they don't like. But I guess it's so like trying to put yourself in that mindset is, well, it must be like that times whatever, you know, because the things that chip away at us for the most part for a lot of people are, you know, small things, and most people manage to kind of rationalize it as best they can. It doesn't stop you having anxiety about that stuff. It doesn't stop those thoughts going through your head, but so you try and I try and look at it as best I can from different people's perspective. That's what I know I can never feel that, what it's like. I can't feel what it's like to be gay. I can't. I have no idea. I don't know what it's like to be trans. I don't know. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to be black. I don't know what it's like to be Asian. I never will.
Yeah.
So the best I can do is try and associate it with something. Nowhere, it'll never be anywhere as close, and then try and imagine that, but on a greater scale. It's like the best. It's the best that I can do, and I have high hopes. I do. I feel like these like these social media wars and stuff like that, I feel like they'll die down. There are extremists on both sides of that, not doing any favors for either side. And I don't like. I will totally back any rights for anything. But yeah, I would back any rights for anything. But you know, if people are having a go at, you know, what I see a lot of is these people shouting loud. And again, it's not most people from the LGBTQI. It's not. It's just a few people shouting really loud who are telling people, don't ask a question like that, or don't do this and don't do that. And I'm like, well, how are we going to educate these people? And if you are shouting at the people whose attitude that you would like to change, or, you know, the world would be a better place if their attitudes changed, how do you think that you're going to change attitudes by shouting at them? You know?
Yeah, no, I feel like it's important to educate people. Like, if you have a question, how would you know it's
like, exactly.
If you're not educated on it, how would you know if it's like not right?
Exactly.
You're not being educated. You're just getting yelled at.
I guess the most important questions for anything have always risked some sort of offense, right? Because if you're uneducated about something, you're always going to risk offense. So, and you know, there are obviously people who are put themselves forward because they know they're more like yourself. They have, you know, you're not gonna get offended if I use the wrong term for something, you know, when I'm trying to do if you know somebody's trying to be genuine and trying to do things right, or, you know, just help out and just say, you know, hey, what, you know, if you say to somebody with a certain pronoun, because now there are 96 pronouns, nobody's ever going to be able to learn all those pronouns.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. So like, I will happily call anybody whatever they want to be called. I don't mind.
Yeah.
As long as people aren't, you know, as long as people, and again, these people are a small minority, and I can't say that enough. I'm not talking about the LGBTQIA community as a whole, because I don't believe that. There are a small minority of people. It just happens that they shout quite loudly, saying, you know, oh, you know, you got it. It's up to you to find out pronouns. And it's like, well, yeah, that's why you ask people, right? That's why you ask the question.
Like, how would you know if you never asked? Like,
but people, there are, again, these small people. One of the extremists. It's extreme. And like I say, I feel like they get this momentum because people think, oh, I should be doing the right thing here, because people want to do the right thing. I think on the whole, especially our generation, and they don't want to upset and offend people, so they will just, oh, I like that post. They might not interact with it, but they'll like it, and before you know it, it blows up. And it's actually somebody who, a lot of the time, I found is not actually part of the LGBTQIA plus community, which doesn't, I mean, it does matter because, you know, I mean, but then nobody can speak on the whole behalf of the whole community, but still, it's like, you actually have no idea, like, at all. Like, you can't even begin to imagine, you know, there's no similarity in what you faced and what many of these people have faced, yet you're shouting at people, telling them they have to do this, and people are like, well, hang on a minute, whoa, you're telling me what to do now? If you tell people what to do, they're gonna back up a bit, they get defensive. You start telling people what to do, they get defensive. That's what I try. So on Twitter in the past, not so much now, I've tried to sort of call those people out and go, well, hey, look, sometimes people are just, don't tar everybody with that brush. Some people are just trying to learn. And they, you know, and some people aren't like equipped with the social tools to properly ask people, or you know, they might have some sort of disability, or not the mental capacity to understand. And I feel like sometimes the people who are doing the right things, and like you say, helping people understand as well, they are getting drowned out by these people who are almost, I think some of them mean well, but some of them I feel like just do it to be seen to be doing something. And again, it's a minority of people, but I have to keep saying that because I don't want anybody to read this and think this is what I think all the LGBT, because I don't.
Mhm.
But I mean, I guess, like with the people you surround yourself on Twitter, though, it might make a difference. So do you feel like you see much of that?
Um, I definitely see. I feel like I do see some people ask questions for certain things and they'll get shut down. I think everyone's timeline is different on
Yeah,
Twitter.
of course.
Uh, so I don't know. I feel like it just depends on who you follow, and I think I have seen people get shut down sometimes.
Yeah.
Um,
Do
but
you have you seen people shut down when you thought that they were genuine people trying to ask a question or
yeah,
trying to make a point?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. You can see who was like a little asshole
Yeah,
trying to get a
yeah.
reaction, like, who's genuinely trying to learn.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the people who are genuinely, I feel like we just as human beings, our responsibility to just like, if someone has a question, like help them out, like help them understand. Because if you don't, they're never going to understand.
So one of the problems I got into last year was there was a transgender streamer who used to come in my stream regularly. I used to go into her stream, and it was all cool. And I saw a post saying, if you don't, it was basically like saying, if you're not saying this about trans rights, then you're as bad as the other people. And I was like, so I just and I was very calm. And I said, look, it's important, that the people who have capacity are open about how they support different things, right? But telling people that they have to do it is completely different. And also, I tried to explain that, like I just said, not everyone has the capacity to use the right words. Some people are scared to use the right words because
100%. Some people are like,
yeah,
like the internet is brutal. Like people will take offense to everything.
yeah.
Uh,
And then I got hit by, you're one of those all lives matters idiots. And I was like, what? I was like, it's so.
I feel like sometimes people are just uneducated on the topic that they're scared to speak up, or like they don't know exactly what to do or how to help.
It was like, and again, this would have been this is one of the extremists again, coming out of the community and saying, and then I got people saying, wait, you're one of those all lives matters idiots. And I was like, oh my gosh. No. All I literally said was, I think it needs to be a bit more considered than making a statement saying, if you don't say this, then you're part of the problem. Like there's a difference as well between putting something on the internet and turning around to your good friend and saying, hey, that's kind of not cool, because how much are people going to care about changing somebody's mind on the internet who they have no affiliation with to their best friend turns out to be a bigot? And it's like, those are the times where it's a bit more important, I think, to be like, hey man, because you have an affiliation with that person. So if you turn around and say, yeah, what you said wasn't all right, actually. But I was called like, I was like, you're an all lives matters idiot. I was like, what?
No, I think if you aren't really like educated on a topic or you don't know, then I don't recommend speaking up. But like if you know about it, you're passionate, obviously speak up.
Yes.
Speak up.
Yeah, of course.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
And then I feel like people are scared to ask questions because they'll get shut down or
they'll
be like,
or
people be like mean to them about it. But like for me, I get anxiety. Like so before I speak on something, I'll just scroll. I'll make sure to know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And I'll pay attention and like take notes or just like observe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's important. So before I talk about something, I definitely make sure I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't do that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like I've had people retweet things of mine, like within that conversation as well, and they hadn't even read the whole thing. And I've turned around and said, no, read it again, and then they blocked me because they'd not read what I'd put. They'd taken it wildly out of context or just not read it. Just simply glanced over it. And it's really like, and I'm like, you saying that these people are saying that I or other people are part of the problem, and these extremists are part of the problem? Because I imagine that, from what I see, I imagine that most people in the LGBT community, and I can't speak for them, this is my opinion, are where you're at, right? So you don't expect...
I'm so open-minded, and I'm so willing to learn and educate myself too. There's still stuff in the community that like I'm not educated about.
Yeah,
you know?
of course.
So I think definitely like observing, learning, and becoming educated. That's super helpful to me, like to grow as a human being. What were you saying? I totally lost my train of thought.
So I was saying like, what was I saying? I was saying, I was saying that most people, from what I see, you know, when I try and delve deeper, are where you're at. You know, and when I talk to my friend, he's where you're at. You know, he's like, I'm not going to start barking at people and telling them they should do this or they shouldn't do that because it's counterproductive, right?
Yeah.
And I think as well. So, like you say, everybody's Twitter feed's different, and I will probably, because I'm not as involved with the LGBT community as you I assume are, then I'm probably going to get the tweets come through that have like the most controversy, right? Or the biggest reactions because they are more controversial. So then I will probably, you can quickly, if you didn't think about it or realize how the algorithms work, you could quickly think, oh, this trans community are all being like this, where that's not true. That's just
100%.
It's just people shouting really loudly over the top of everyone else, claiming that this is the way things are done. Which is really, really important. Really important that we don't put anybody, you know, in the same bracket as everybody else ever, because it's a very dangerous thing to do, because none of us are the same. We can be part of communities, of course, but everybody's an individual, right?
Yeah. What I noticed on social media though, like I'll see a tweet, it will say something, and I'll look at the replies. Replies are completely different. They'll be like, "Hey, this tweet is like not right."
Yes.
Like, so I feel like a lot of people don't look in the thread or like replies, and they'll like assume the thing.
Oh yeah,
like
I saw a crazy tweet the other day. Nothing to do with the LGBT community, but it was this girl in England who had talked about they were supposed to develop this app for the coronavirus called Track and Trace and blah 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 blah. And anyway, it was a massive failure, and it was X billion pounds lost, basically wasted. And she basically said, "Oh, we could have locked everyone down in the country, and they'd all have been given 500,000. All adults could have been given £500,000 for 6 months." And I looked at it and thought, because that's like $650,000, right? So I looked at it and thought, So I checked the maths, and she'd actually done her zeros wrong, and it would have been £500, like $650 for 6 months.
Yeah,
and it had got tens of thousands of retweets, and I mean tens of thousands. And I thought, what? Nobody even checked, and I would guarantee not everybody has the capacity to do these kinds of calculations. I mean, they probably did once upon a time, and I looked at it and thought, how many people just shared that without thinking? They didn't even think. They just shared. And the point is completely, because no family can exist in this country on £500 for 6 months. Like, it's impossible. And you, like you say, you get the same thing. You look at the replies and they've not read, or the context is completely lost. That's so dangerous, especially in around something like the LGBT community, where a lot of people are very ignorant, and I'm not ashamed. Well, ashamed's the wrong word. I'm not embarrassed to say that I am ignorant, but I'm trying to learn, you know, because I'm ignorant.
No, I think if personally for me, right, if someone comes into my stream and they're homophobic, I want to know why they're like that, and I won't, unless they're like severe, right? like if someone will come to my stream and they're like, oh, like homo, like they'll try and be like mean. I want to understand their point of view,
Yeah.
get it. But if they're like severe and they're like taking it way too far, then immediately. But there's a few people that have like came in with a negative mindset, and then I learn from them, and they have an open mind, and then like they'll be like completely accepting. Like I've changed a few people's minds on the LGBT community. So I think if someone at least has an open mind and they can understand you and like understand you as a human being, I think um I'm willing to teach someone if they have an open mind.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
100%. And like I say, if I think with regards to people who are coming into my stream, obviously I can't talk about anything like that, but I've spoken about, because I had a breakdown 4 years ago, and people on Twitch, a lot of people find solace in Twitch with their mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had, as I'm sure you're the same, you get messages sometimes that really, really make this experience, like the kind of feeling you get from those messages that says, hey, I've been going through a bad time, and your streams have been a real, it's like the best feeling from streaming without a doubt. And my attitude is kind of, even if it's been a few people, if it had been one person, just one, then that would have been amazing. Or if somebody watches one of my podcasts, and I've had that as well, and people have said, I hadn't thought about that, or your guest said this, or you said that, and it just made me think. And like, even if your mindset didn't really change, if it made you think, if it makes people think a little bit, then it's all worthwhile. And have you had the same sort of thing, where you've had people say, hey, you know what, when you're talking about that, or you talking about this, really helped me and or made me think?
Oh, 100%. Like when people message me that, it honestly makes me cry. Yeah. It's like the best feeling in the world to know that I could maybe help someone out if someone's going through a hard time.
Yeah, definitely. It's an incredible thing. And there are obviously many toxic sides to the internet. There's a lot of rivalry on Twitch. There's a lot of people who stream for the wrong reasons, and whatever. I feel, as far as the viewers are concerned, it's on the whole very wholesome. There are some very very toxic streamers, but streamers don't make up the majority of Twitch. And I think I've seen very few. Like if you were to compare the people you come across in real life, like the assholes in real life, to just the people who are just generally, just as long as you're nice to them, they're nice to you, there are far more. There's a bigger percentage on Twitch. It really when you see a lot of the things that are wrong with the internet, see what Twitch has done for a lot of people and help them through things. I feel like Twitch does not as the platform's got some work to do, but like as far as bringing people together and creating communities, it's incredibly wholesome and incredibly helpful for a lot of people. Yeah. Do you ever feel like what would you do? What would you do if you weren't doing Twitch now?
Oh God, I have no clue.
What would you do?
I have no idea. No clue. I don't know where life would take me. I don't know.
It's such a strange thought. Like, because it is for me too. It's like, what would I do? What would I do with my time?
Yeah. I feel like Twitch has changed me so much though. Like I've definitely learned a lot and become more confident. I've grown a lot as a human being, and I've learned a lot. But it's definitely changed me for the better.
Yeah, I think so. I think I've definitely as well become, I wouldn't say I was a particularly judgmental person. I'm definitely less judgmental, I think. 100%. And maybe that's because, like I say, it takes away, I have had doctors lawyers. I've had people who are long-term ill. I've had people who come from, you know, very, very poor countries on the stream, and spoken to them in their almost perfect English, and they're all there for the same reason. You know, they're all there for the same reason. That's incredibly humbling. And I would have never thought, but don't get me wrong, I never thought before that somebody wasn't worth whatever because they're where, not at all. But seeing those people come together really makes it hit home when you actually see it, and you see these people and they talk about how in their country buying a Switch game is like it's a big deal. You know, it's a big deal. Whereas in the UK and America, it's like, oh, hey, I got a Switch game. You know, stuff like that is just like, and you know, because people grow up with more money than others in this country, and in the States, obviously, but it's like hearing about these different worlds, I find amazing, incredibly humbling. And I think through that, you just naturally you just think more and become less judgmental, because we are human and we have flaws, and, you know, we try and get better, a lot of us, but we still have flaws and we still have stuff to work on. So I found for me, that's been one of my, one of the greatest attributes probably from streaming. What do you feel is your greatest attribute? Is it the fact that you have learned a lot? Is it the fact that you've helped some people, or is it
just the fact that I can help people and entertain and hopefully make someone's day better?
Yeah.
Like if someone's having a shitty day, I want them to come to my stream and just like hang out and chill, and hopefully I can make it a little bit better, or stuff like that. Building a community. Like so many people from my community have like made other friends in the community, and then they hang out and then they, you know, help each other. So I think stuff like that. That's why I love streaming.
Awesome. TubbyTubb, thank you so much for coming on here today. I think we've covered a lot and it's been a really interesting conversation. If you guys don't follow TubbyTubb on Twitch, the link will be in the description. Thank you very much, TubbyTubb.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Take care.